are.
Welcome to Boozy Book Club.
A book club with books and booze. You have to provide your own booze, though.
If you're over 21. That's
like
Melody.
That's Mandy.
Yee!
We're here to talk about books.
So we both used to be booksellers,
At the same store.
and now we are no longer booksellers.
At any store.
At any store. There's a cat in the background.
There's a cat. He lives here. It's his home.
We're just squatting. It's his home.
He
Hi.
makes the rules.
Hi, little. We still like talking about books, even though neither of us still work at the bookstore.
And most of our friendship directs back to books
Mm-hmm.
in some way.
A solid foundation of books.
So, a couple months ago, we were getting drunk at a cider bar.
'Cause booze.
And books. And we were talking about the Brontes.
As one does.
And we may have drunkenly shouted, "Fuck Emily Bronte," at one point.
'Cause seriously, fuck Emily Bronte.
Fuck Emily Bronte.
Wuthering Heights is the worst.
I was very excited that we're on the same page. We're usually on the same page, but you never know. We differ on a lot of things.
We do.
For instance, I really like romance. And Mandy really... How do you feel about romance?
Like this.
So, you're going to get some differing perspectives.
Because
on
romance
things.
is boring and I hate it.
I like Warm Fuzzies. So we might, we're obviously going to have these, we're in the early stages, but we're going to have, things where we talk about books together. But then, obviously, we have our own interests as well that may align more with other people's interests. So we'll talk about things on our own, potentially sometimes. Or maybe we'll force each other. I don't know. I don't want to force Mandy to read a romance novel, because I don't know what she would force me to read back. So
It could be
bad.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to really take that chance right
Although,
now.
what do you not like to read?
Westerns.
I don't like reading Western. Well, I don't know. I don't really think
I
I've
don't-
read that many Westerns.
I feel like you'd want to read Moby Dick in a way that I wouldn't.
Ooh.
God damn it.
Ooh.
I brought this upon myself.
I do. I really like boat books.
She likes boat books.
Boat books is my favorite genre.
So,
It's not a real genre, but it's my favorite genre of books.
we
And
might feature a lot of boat books.
there was a boat in this book.
There was a short break. So anyway, yeah. Today we're reading, or have read. How do you say it?
Viet.
Viet.
By Charlotte Bronte.
I took Spanish.
Poor Melody, because there's a lot of this book in
So
French.
we both already read it.
Yes, but
Um,
neither of us has read it in a very long time. I
yeah.
read it in college.
I also read it in college. You read it for class.
I did. I took a Bronte sisters class, and we read every novel by the Bronte
Which
sisters.
sounds amazing. And
It was fantastic.
I just read it on my own.
Because you were that kid.
Was that kid?
Because you're that
Also,
kid.
we didn't have a huge selection in the popular library, so I brushed up on a lot of my classics. I also read a lot of Daphne du
Maurier.
Maurier.
Look at you.
Look at you! French! We both read it in college.
Mm-hmm.
She got to actively talk about it.
I did.
I just got to sit in my room yelling, "Ghosts!"
Nuns!
And we were talking about it at the bar because we were laying down our rankings of the
Mhm.
Brontes, of which we agreed.
Obviously,
Is-
Charlotte, number 1. Anne, number 2. And fuck Emily Bronte. So many more ghosts.
It's great because it's
Ton more ghosts.
literary gothic. It's the gothic's here, but it's the less trashy version of the gothic.
Mm.
Although I feel like that's why a lot of people still kind of judge it. We obviously need to talk about Lucy
Well,
and
it'd be
her
hard not to talk
as a
about
character.
Lucy.
Oh, thanks. Her as a character, especially she gets compared with, I'm sure, Jane a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that first struck me, because the one thing I remembered about this book going into it was the attic scene,
Okay.
which is not a long scene.
No.
It's not major at all. When What's-His-Face just locks her in
Oh,
the
yeah.
attic to practice lines, and there are just all these rats
Like-
and roaches scurrying
And it's
around
literally all day.
all
and
day, and she has to crack a window because it's so freaking hot, and she has to watch everyone eating snacks on the grounds.
Everybody's having a fun party, and she has to learn lines.
And she's
sitting up in an attic.
locked in. I was traumatized.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, we forgot to say there's definitely going to be spoilers.
Oh, yeah. We'll put it in the description.
Every video
Lots of spoilers. We...
probably have
Well,
spoilers.
I mean, and in
Like
this
book
case
club type
especially, this doesn't... I mean, guys, if you don't know how Viet ends...
Well, a lot of people don't read Viet.
No, I know, it's true. And they should.
They should.
Because Charlotte Bronte's fantastic. I love her.
It sneaks up on you too, because at first you're nothing is happening.
Yeah.
But it is that when you've read enough 19th century
Mhm.
literature, you're okay, well, all these people are going to come back.
Well, yeah.
because everything is real convenient that we all ended up in this small little fridge.
Isn't it
town.
so strange that literally everybody she's
Everyone we've ever known
met in her entire life,
which I
has
mean
ended up
is an editing convenience because like we never meet anyone else in Lucy's life.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Lucy.
Oh, Lucy.
Her name is Lucy Snow. If you haven't read
Snow with an E on the end.
yet, she's interesting because she's the most as reserved as Jane Eyre is.
Mm-hmm.
Lucy has things even more bottled up.
Yeah.
Like she will have feelings for someone,
And then
and
pretend
we
like
won't
she
know
doesn't.
about it for like 200 pages. And this is all in the first person.
Yeah.
So it's not like that omniscient third person narrator. Like we're hearing this from Lucy.
Yeah. She keeps a lot to herself.
And then we're like, oh, that's why you're having all these emotional breakdowns.
Yeah.
She has a lot of emotional breakdowns.
She does panic quite a bit.
My favorite was the emotional breakdown where she just decided she was going to go to confession, even though she's a hardcore Protestant.
Does not want to be Catholic.
She has a lot of feelings about Catholicism because we were still in the age where there's a lot of feelings
Oh my
about
God.
Protestant versus
When
Catholic.
it all like goes.
There might still be a lot of feelings that I just don't
Yeah.
invest in mentally or emotionally because there's so many other things to feel about. But yeah, so she just shows up at confession. I'm like, you can do that?
Apparently.
And then you can pass out in a gutter. That just gets us back to Graham, who is, spoiler alert, Dr. John.
I was actually amazed at how much of it I remember. Like,
I was like, I spent the rest of the novel, like, I was like, okay, yes, I do remember this twist after, like, coming to it. And, like, I saw it coming.
mm-hmm.
One, because I've already read the book.
Yeah.
Although I did forget a lot. But, like, as I was reading, I was like, oh, yeah, duh. But then I spent the rest, like, did I miss something? His first name was not John.
Maybe,
Is that a thing?
Maybe.
Like,
Wasn't it John Graham?
was it?
I think his middle name's
that
Graham.
probably was. Because
And-
everyone was named John, so they would have called him Graham, and that would have been the familiar, like, oh,
Yeah.
look, we're in your personal circle, because we can call you Graham.
Yes.
Okay, that makes more sense.
I believe.
It bothered me.
I believe he's John Graham. Breton.
So many dumb men in Bronte novels.
Which
What
might
you
be
got
what
from-
I like about our ladies know everything, and then they just kind of have to suffer all the dudes because unfortunately
But
it's
that
the
sucks.
1800s, and that's kind of what they have to do.
Well, and also, though, Lucy, like, she's very smart, but she doesn't know everything. She's real emotionally repressed.
Yes. When Lucy gets a letter from Graham
And then she throws a
and then
big...
panics.
And then she sees a ghost, so she, like, goes running, as you should. If you ever see a ghost, please run.
Well, it was a threatening ghost. So
It
yes.
was
Or
a malicious ghost.
She felt threatened.
I'm gonna run from ghosts.
I mean, maybe.
I don't know. Casper, maybe, but...
It might depend on the situation.
Anyway, she leaves the letter behind.
Yes.
It's like the one letter she owns. Which, I mean, to be fair, she has no family and she's lonely.
She is the loneliest human.
And, like, we don't...
My God,
Do we-
she's lonely.
We know her godmother, but do we find out anything about her family? Like, do we know...
Not really.
We don't know, like, who she comes from. She has a godmother
She
that
loses
seems to
them
be,
all
like...
really early and just kind of...
But, like, not in, like, a really aggressive way, like in Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jane Eyre.
Mm-hmm.
Bye, Charlotte.
Bye, Charlotte.
Like, we don't hear about them in the same way.
Uh-huh.
Which is good in the sense
Well,
that differentiates the books.
That's when she loses touch with them, isn't it? Is when her family
Well, she...
dies and then she...
Yeah, because she'd gone back home, and then she's, like... She takes care of that woman for, like, a short period of time before she dies.
Uh-huh.
And that estate gets taken over. And then she just decides, what if I just walk to London? She doesn't walk. She gets on her own thing.
Gets on
car.
a boat.
No.
No, the
she
boat's
doesn't
from
take
London,
a
too.
boat to London.
She could, if she really wanted to.
Just boating on down the Thames.
Just boating to London.
I don't know geography. How did you feel about the boat chapters?
I love a boat chapter. I liked her being on the boat. It was good. And we got to meet good old Ginevra.
Ginevra.
Oh, Ginevra. Ginevra Fanshawe.
God, I hope Ginny Weasley wasn't named after this bitch.
The whole time, this is all I was just like, Ginny Weasley, Ginny Weasley, Ginny Weasley.
What a disgrace to Ginny Weasley.
I love Ginevra. I don't know what you're talking about. Ginevra made me laugh more than pretty much anything else in
Love
this
that
book.
Ginevra was like, they were just like, yep, this is her.
Yeah. That's just her personality. She's kind of the worst, and everybody knows it, and...
Except all the guys that want to do her.
Well, yeah, because she's hot.
And she knows how to play them.
Yeah, Ginevra's smart. Well, kind of. Jennifer's smart in her own ways.
She's smart in her own ways and constantly harassing Lucy, probably just because it amuses her. Like,
Yeah, no.
she knows that Lucy does not want her around, but at the same time, Lucy enjoys it.
No, exactly.
She says she doesn't.
One of my
but she
favorite
enjoys
parts
it.
of this is that with Graham and Mrs. Breton too,
Mhm.
is that when people really like each other, it's all about the banter and like pretending like they don't like each other. And I love that. I always want people to
puts
just argue.
the turban on Graham's head, and he gets mad and is gonna get revenge, even though no one saw it.
Yeah.
He would never survive
And
social
she's
media.
just laughing to herself.
That would have been on her Instagram story.
She's funny. I love Mrs.
Yeah.
Breton. Their relationship is one of my favorite things in this
I
book.
pictured her with a big old bustle, and also
Mhm.
that she's like, I can take care of myself. Like, I don't care what
Yeah.
some little girl is saying about me or is snickering behind her fan at the opera. So much happened. Okay, one of my favorite scenes,
Uh-huh.
because it's kind of like my dream. I spent some time as a substitute teacher. So when Lucy first gets the job as the English teacher,
Uh-huh.
and what's her face, the head of the school,
Mrs. Beck.
Mrs. Beck, I was like, it starts with a B, but it's not Breton. It's like, okay, you have to do this, but I'm not going to help you. You just have to make it work.
Yeah.
And you're full of a class of probably not a nice size class of sniveling, uppity teenage girls.
Mean girls. They were
Bunch
just mean
of
girls.
Mean girls.
Mean girls.
And you got like soft-spoken Lucy Snow just standing up there. So what does she do? First, these girls, like, she picks out the head ringleader right away. She zeroes in,
Mm-hmm.
and she takes
She
like
picks out
her
Regina
George.
George.
Either her like a report for something that she'd been working on, or a letter, like a personal letter. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, I don't remember. Either,
And she
but
starts to read it, doesn't she? And then she tears it up,
And then
or she just straight up tears it up.
all I remember is the turn.
Either way, power move.
And everyone's like, "Oh!"
And then there's a girl.
but then there's
still,
that one girl in the back who's just
back.
being annoying.
and she doesn't know how to read the room, so she's still going on, and everyone already kind of hates her.
Yeah,
So she just locks
So
her
she
in a
just
closet.
locks her in a closet, and then everyone's like, "Man, we all hate that girl. Good job, Miss Snow. Let's be friends. Now we respect you."
I love it so much.
That's how it works.
I wanted to lock some kids in a closet, but you would get sued for that now, which
Yeah,
is
you
fair.
can't do it
You
these
can't
days.
lock children in a closet.
Don't lock children
We
in
are
the
not
closet.
condoning locking people in
Don't
closets.
lock women in attics.
And we're definitely not condoning locking women in attics. That's
That's
another,
a
the
lot
logic.
of the woman in the
This
attic.
was
It's a lot.
the less aggressive woman in the attic.
Yeah.
In this Charlotte Bronte.
Slightly less problematic.
You just
than
had roaches
Mr.
and rats
Rochester, but-
rather than having to live your whole life mad in an attic because your asshole husband.
Yeah, good old Mr. Rochester. He's great. He's wonderful.
We've read White Sargasso SOC. We know.
Yeah, we know.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Okay. I also had to read that on my own.
Oh, I also read that.
I read it in high school.
I read that for the Bronte class with no context.
Well, I'd read Jane Eyre.
Okay. I didn't read Jane Eyre until college. I didn't read any Brontes until the Bronte
Oh.
class.
Oh, it was all new.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, I still haven't read The Professor, which is the shorter
Mhm.
Charlotte.
Oh, Charlotte. We love you,
And
Charlotte.
I only read Tenant of Wildfell Hall
I like that one.
last year. I loved it. No one in that book deserved What's Her Face. Just throw this out there.
It's been a while. I haven't read it since college either.
That's all I got for you. Anyway.
Do you want to hear my favorite quote from the entire book?
Yes.
This is on page 330 of my edition.
Won't be of my edition.
This is after she sees the nun.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. John is like, "Hey, you know what you should do? You should just be happy." And she's like, "Great, thanks for that fantastic advice. If people could just be happy, they would be happy." And then she says, "Happiness is not a potato to be planted in mold and tilled with manure," which is not the beginning or the ending of that paragraph. However, it is the important part of that paragraph, and I've been saying happiness is not a potato all week to multiple people. That's true. I said it to the mail guy the other day when he came to give me mail at work. He laughed. So that's
Did
something.
you have your book in your hand as a reference point?
I had it on the desk.
You didn't just walk up to him in the mailroom and say, happiness is not
Happiness
a potato.
is not a potato. I did say it to Kate, so
Yeah, but Kate expects that from you.
I know. I'm a weirdo.
The Harper Perennial Legacy Edition,
Mm-hmm.
it has a beautiful cover. I bought it for the Daniel Ortberg forward.
It does have a great cover.
Look how much white is on this cover.
Mm-hmm.
I did just get a spot on it. I'm really upset about it.
Yeah, she's a little panicked. It's okay.
So I didn't trust myself. But the quote on the back, the pull quote is, "If life be a war, it seemed my destiny to conduct it single-handed," which I don't feel summarizes this book. It's like from toward the end. It's not from like any particularly special moment. Like, sure, but I feel like that could be a pull quote from any Bronte novel.
Well, exactly. It doesn't seem memorable enough.
No,
even.
like I actually had to read the paragraph twice by accident, and then I was like, oh, that's the pull quote.
Weird.
Can we talk about the French in this book?
Yeah, I loved it. I took French.
I took Spanish.
4.5 years.
In terms of 19th century literature, they love that French.
They do.
Because you can just hop on a boat on a whim.
You can.
You don't even have to. You can just sit thinking for 2 hours.
You don't need a passport.
And then walk to a boat and meet some flighty girl.
Oh, Ginevra. I love Ginevra. Ginevra is so much better than Polly.
Oh no, Polly's worse. Because Polly is that, okay. She
Polly,
starts,
I'm so perfect and beautiful with my big eyes and my little sad waifish self.
and she starts off as like that precocious child, which like, how old was she supposed to be? Like 6?
She was 6.
And she was talking like,
Mm-hmm.
and not even like I'm miming adults. It's I don't know how to write children.
Why even put her that age? Because honestly, I thought it was a bit creepy that
Yeah, that you're talking about like a 6-year-old who talks like an adult being obsessed with this 16-year-old boy.
16-year-old boy who, I mean, tolerated her.
And also the way we were reintroduced to her was after she'd been trampled in a fire scare. Like,
Also,
so much. It's so extra. It's like, well, we can't give her consumption, so...
what else can we do?
Fire.
Fire at the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
The Nun.
Yeah.
Okay, so this building used to be a nunnery? The school. I don't remember.
I don't remember why
I don't
it was
remember
a nun,
the
but they
origin story.
did.
It was something...
They buried a nun under a tree. And then she was supposed to haunt it. And the tree's name was Methuselah.
And that's where Lucy buried her letters like she was Boo Radley.
God, that's what I thought too. Because we're nerds.
So there was a nun.
There was a nun.
A ghost nun.
For some reason, there's a nun who was buried under a tree and then haunted everything.
Because everything is really realistic except for this one gothic part. That's not even really gothic.
But I didn't remember the explanation of the nun. Like, who what? I knew it was...
Oh, I did. Because like, that's the only reason he exists.
But I loved it. And it made me really... Like, because I kept in my head, and I was like, it's too obvious that it's Monsieur Paul. Like, and then when he's there the second time it appears... And there's no reason
for it to be Monsieur Paul, because...
And then I was just like, why? He just likes hanging out wearing nun habits? But I was like, at that point, when you're reading, you're just kind of like, I mean, I know she ends up with... But, like, he's just weird. Like, he's a weird dude. He's
like a 14-year-old in a grown-ass body.
Yeah.
He's, like, in his 40s, but still tugging on pigtails.
Yeah.
But it's hard, because, like, we're seeing everything through Lucy's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So everything we're seeing for, like, 200 to 300 pages is her doing that, no, I don't like him.
Oh my God.
I don't have a crush on him. So she's being, like, extra in the opposite way and everything. So
we had to go through it with Graham first, and then that was annoying.
And, like, as someone who does that and has been guilty of it...
Yeah,
everyone sees through it. It doesn't mean I'm not going to do it in the future, but everyone sees through it.
Oh, Ginevra, who'd you marry?
I put that he was like a bro.
Monsieur de Homel.
He would have been like a bro.
Monsieur... I don't remember his first name.
I don't know. His name was French, though.
Hold on, because she married him at the end, and then she writes that stupid...
Which we all saw coming. But we never get to see him. So we get to see her playing Graham, but we don't get to see what's... I kind of want to see a fop being an idiot. I'm not going to lie.
Alfred Domo. And then she has little baby Alfred, who she loves more than her husband. However, Ginevra needs ridiculousness in her life, so...
I know, I wanted to see him being ridiculous, though. Like, I love a good fop.
Oh, who doesn't love a good fop? We all love a good fop.
We don't want to marry them.
Yeah, we do.
Because we're not Ginevra. Okay.
I definitely do. What are you talking about?
All fops apply over here. I am not currently in the market for a fop.
Ooh, I would love a fop.
It's interesting because, like, I feel like Viet...
Do you really not want a fop? I mean, just to, like, hang out with and be friends with.
I want to be friends with a fop. I'm not going to marry a fop. I mean, but then, because it does beg the question that the other guys aren't much better.
Yeah. As the back of my book says, is often regarded as her most emotionally and aesthetically satisfying work.
Her most emotionally satisfying when Lucy was repressed for all of it?
Lucy is the most repressed person.
She had so many emotional breakdowns, and John was just like, well, lie on this couch for a little bit. And, like...
I mean, what else did they tell them to do in that?
There are so many fires in Jane Eyre. There's a fire in Viet.
Mhm.
It's not a good fire, but there's a fire. I mean, I guess it's a good fire from a, like, if you're in the fire standpoint.
That's true.
Except the stampede still happened, so the impact was the
so
same.
it's the same as if
In
it
that
was a
point,
terrible
I guess
fire.
if you own the building, it's a good fire.
Oh god, how boring. Once they figured everything out, Polly and Graham.
Oh yeah,
They're
worst.
like happy, idyllic life for all time.
Honestly, the minute Polly showed back up, I was kind of like just over it.
Oh god. And like, I just picture her in my head and how gross and perfect she was.
Like, I'm glad that her and Lucy are friendly. Except, I don't get it. Because, like, I would have been the kind of person like, no, you were annoying as a child and you didn't want to talk to me most of the time. Because we never really got to see her, like, have good, positive interactions with Polly when they were children.
Yeah. Well, it's also weird that, like, because you can figure it out before it happens, but then also Lucy's just like, oh, I figured this out 3 months ago and I didn't say anything in the last 200 pages that this was this person. And you're like, oh, why not? Okay,
Lucy's
I get it,
the
but
worst.
Lucy's kind of terrible. And then I read a thing at the end where some ladies of Charlotte Bronte's acquaintance, they applied for exact and authentic information respecting the fate of Monsieur Paul Emmanuel. And Charlotte Bronte was like, I've sent you an answer, but she still like worded it so it wasn't obvious. And then the dude who wrote the notes is just like, but I mean, there's no puzzle in this. Those girls they just wanted him to live. Nope. Lucy Snow gets no happy ending.
I mean, she
But
does,
she does get a happy
though.
ending because she's okay being by herself.
He gives her some independence.
She has her independence. Of course, she has to have it because a man helped her. But she does have her independence, and she's doing well for herself.
At
And,
this time, it's hard to get it without help.
well, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Like, she couldn't.
We can't
It's the
fault
problematic of society, not the problems of the author. Whatever.
it.
But no, and I mean, and I don't know how honest she is when she says it, but she says it multiple times in here that she's fine being by herself or being alone. And then we see to the contrary, like when she's left by herself for, like,
Oh my god, she had a summer by herself. To
which
just
sounds
chillax
great. She
and
just
not work.
she can just read and do her needlework, and she even has like there's like 2 people around, so she wants to talk to
There's
someone.
a
She
town.
can talk to them,
She could leave. She
And
doesn't have to stay in that building.
and instead she falls and has a fit and like loses her mind basically. But she's fine by herself, as she says.
That's like our dream. Is to
That's
have...
all I want. Just give me a summer where I just have books and
And like she seems to like only read by necessities. Like,
oh
she's
well,
like,
she even says in it
like,
that she
I got-
doesn't like
yeah.
reading that much.
She's like, I got nothing better to do. And
Which-
this guy keeps leaving me these cigar
He-
smelling books in my desk.
These books
so
just smell like cigars and
I
it's
guess-
gross.
Guess I might as well read them. Can you imagine knowing someone was rifling through your desk?
She's so
like-
fine with people just going through all of her things because Mrs.
And
Beck does it
maybe
too.
it was like the sense of privacy at the time, and like the fact that it was like because it was her employer too. I don't know, but like
Maybe just the knowledge that like you don't have anything.
Yeah,
Like
it
I
wasn't
mean, she doesn't have
her
anything, so
desk. It was like the desk she was using.
she
Like,
doesn't even have letters for anybody to read because when she gets them, she shoves them in a
puts them
tree.
in a tree. I wonder whatever happened to that tree.
I know they never bring up the letters again. Like those letters just like hanging out in that tree forever.
Do we think that what's his face was grabbing shit when he was pretending to be the nun?
Maybe.
Ginevra was interesting because I enjoyed her. She amused me, but I would not want to hang out with Ginevra.
No, but I liked her parts in the book.
Yeah.
Like she brought a lot of personality that we needed.
And levity.
And it's funny, like, I liked her, all of her, calling her Timon and calling her, like, grandmother and, like, all the things that she called.
Trying to get her to, like do her chores for
And,
her.
like, Lucy's, like, 5 years older than she is. Like, she's not a grandmother by any means compared to Ginevra. And it's so funny. And Ginevra just, yeah, and if she says no, then she's like, okay. And she goes off and finds somebody else to do it.
And she will
I love her.
She will let Lucy diatribe at her.
Yes, and somebody needs to, like, she's looking for that. And
Lucy needs to give a good diatribe.
they have a good relationship going. I like Ginevra and Lucy. That's not a very large font either.
No.
I don't know.
You could bump up the font. That's fine.
Bump up the font.
Some of us are blind.
Some of us have been reading books for our entire lives. And it's
And are already,
not great for our eyes.
apparently.
Apparently that's a thing.
I don't believe it.
Bet Lucy Snow's eyes were just fine.
Because she didn't like to read.
Also, she had disrespect for glasses. That's not true. But she felt terrible when she broke those glasses.
That was
But I
very
was like-
stressful.
Oh, poor Monsieur Paul.
And that was the one thing he didn't get mad about. But God forbid she didn't bring him a fucking flower.
Oh my god, he threw such a fit.
And embarrassed her in front of all of her coworkers and students because she didn't buy him a fucking flower for his birthday.
I really love this, though. I forgot
good.
how much I loved Charlotte Bronte. Or for the next time, we are reading The Poppy War. R.F. Kuang.
We're really excited about it.
Anyway, thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
See you next time.